Abby, I've got something absolutely mind-blowing for you today. We're talking about a place that's been home to people for longer than you can probably imagine.
Oh yeah? You know I can't resist a good mystery. Tell me more.
You know how we're always uncovering amazing discoveries on Lost and Found, right? Well, this one is really special. We're talking about an incredible cave system in Kenya where people lived for, get this, 78,000 years.
Wait, hold up. 78,000 years? That's insane.
I know, right? And the coolest part? It's not just some abandoned cave system. People are still using it today. Granted, for different purposes, but still. It's called Panga ya Saidi, and it has an incredible story that I can't wait to share with you.
Well, don't leave me hanging. What makes this cave system so special?
It's not just about how long people lived there, it's everything they left behind. What's even more fascinating is how it completely changes what we thought we knew about early humans living in tropical environments. Trust me, this is going to blow your mind. Alright, let me paint you a picture. You know the oldest city in Kenya, Mombasa? If you head west from there, you'll come across these incredible hills called the Zitsoni Hills. They kind of wind their way up the coast for about 50 miles.
Oh, so they're right on the coast?
Well, here's the thing. They're actually set back a few miles from the shore, and they have this fascinating foundation made of limestone. But what's wild is you can't even see it because it's all covered by this dense tropical forest. It's just absolutely wild.
And what about the cave system itself? How big are we talking?
So, the entire Panga ya Saidi network, it stretches for just over half a mile. I actually learned this from Michael Petralia at the Max Planck Institute, and the main chamber, it's about the size of a small church, which is pretty impressive when you think about it.
Wait, so people still use it today?
Yeah, absolutely, though not quite in the same way as before. Nobody actually lives there anymore, haven't for centuries really. But what's fascinating is that people still use these caves for important cultural practices. They hold burials there and perform various rituals within the space.
It sounds like there's so much history packed into those caves.
Oh, absolutely. What's really fascinating is that we know so much about it because there was this massive study done recently. 28 researchers from all over the world came together to excavate and study the site, and what they found, it's just incredible.
So, what did these cave dwellers actually do in there? How did they go about their day-to-day lives?
Oh, this is where it gets really fascinating. These people first started living in the caves during what we call the Middle Stone Age, and at first, well, their technology was pretty basic, you know?
So what exactly counts as basic technology?
Well, in the beginning, they weren't making much of anything. But then, this is where it gets super interesting. About 10,000 years after they first moved in, something changed. They started getting really creative with stone tools, crafting incredibly sophisticated arrowheads, blades, and all sorts of different tools.
That's quite a leap in skills.
Right? And it gets even better. About 20,000 years after that technological leap, they started doing something totally amazing. They began creating art. They were carving intricate designs and images into pieces of bone and even tusks.
Wait, so we're talking about actual artwork from tens of thousands of years ago?
Exactly. What's really fascinating about all of this is that we can literally see their cultural evolution through these artifacts. We can trace how they went from simple tool users to incredibly skilled craftspeople and artists. And the mind-blowing part, we can watch this progression unfold over tens of thousands of years, layer after layer, right there in the cave.
So, how do archaeologists even figure all of this out?
They did these incredible excavations, right? 3 different seasons between 2010 and 2013. They literally dug through layers of time. Each layer reveals something new about how these people lived and how their skills developed. It's like reading a history book, but one written in dirt and stone, you know?
So what did they actually eat? I'm guessing, being so close to the coast, it was a lot of fish?
That's actually one of the most surprising things about these people. Even though they were right by the ocean, they didn't fish at all, not even once. Instead, they were completely focused on the forest around them, living off whatever they could find. Plants, animals, everything from the tropical forest.
Wait, really? No seafood at all?
Nope. But here's something really cool. They did collect shells from the coast, but not for food. They were actually using them to make these beautiful beads. It's like they were really into decoration and personal ornaments, you know?
That's fascinating. But how did they manage to survive there for so long?
And this is where it gets really interesting. While the rest of Africa was experiencing huge climate shifts, rainfall going up and down, this spot on the Kenyan coast was like a little sanctuary. The rain levels stayed consistently high, creating this incredibly stable environment for them.
So they basically found the perfect spot?
Exactly, and that's probably why around 60,000 years ago there was this huge population boom in the caves. The number of people living there just shot up. Think about it. They had everything they needed, shelter in the caves, an amazing tropical forest full of food, and a super stable climate, unlike the rest of the world.
It's incredible that they managed to create such a stable life there.
Right? And what's really fascinating is how they adapted to this tropical forest environment. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving. They developed a whole way of life that was perfectly suited to their surroundings, and they kept it going for thousands of years. It's just mind-blowing when you think about it.
So, what does all of this tell us about how humans moved around back then? What's the bigger picture here?
Oh, this is where it gets really mind-blowing. For the longest time, researchers had this theory. They thought ancient humans used the coastlines as these prehistoric highways, you know? They believed people just moved along the shoreline, out of Africa and around the Indian Ocean.
That actually makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
See, that's what everyone thought. But here's what's so amazing about Pangaea Saidi. It totally challenges that idea. These people weren't just passing through. They settled there and stayed put for thousands of years. They weren't using the coast as a route to somewhere else.
Wow. So what does that mean for our understanding of human migration?
It's forcing us to completely rethink everything we thought we knew about early human migration. Instead of everyone being constant wanderers, we're now seeing that some groups found really good spots and just stayed there. They adapted incredibly well to their environment.
I guess that makes them kind of like early settlers?
Exactly, and what's really fascinating is how this shows that early humans were way more adaptable than we used to think. Like, these people figured out how to thrive in a tropical forest environment, which is actually pretty challenging, right? And they did it really early in human history.
That's incredible. It really puts into perspective how resourceful they were. Figuring out how to survive and thrive in such a tough environment so early on.
Totally! And you know what's really mind-blowing? This single cave site has given us so much insight into human capability and adaptation. It shows us that our ancestors weren't just surviving, they were building complex, stable communities. They were innovating, creating art, developing new technologies, and all of this happened way earlier than we used to think possible in this kind of environment.
Wow, this has been absolutely mind-blowing. A single cave system that reveals so much about our ancestors.
Right? And you know what really excites me about Pangaea Saidi? It's still there. People are still using these caves today for ceremonies and rituals. It's this amazing connection between our distant past and our present.
That's actually really beautiful when you think about it. 78,000 years of human history in one place.
Exactly. And it just goes to show that sometimes the most amazing discoveries are the places that have been right there all along, just waiting for us to truly look at them and understand their story. These caves have completely changed what we thought we knew about early human settlements and migration patterns.
Well, that's all we have time for in this first episode of Lost and Found, the strangest finds in history. So, Oliver, what incredible discovery are we exploring next week?
Oh my gosh, you're going to love this one. We're heading to the west coast of Scotland to explore a secret doorway to caves hidden under a castle. It's absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to tell you all about it.
I seriously can't wait. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you next time on Lost and Found.